Hey, what's going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode of iTrack. Well, it looks like the Hillary and Bill deposition just dropped, so we'll be taking a look at that along with a lot of other interesting clips. But before we do any of that, make sure to smash that like button for me, smash that hype button, and hit the subscribe button. Join the iTrack fan, man. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it.
This was what I spent my time doing.
You want to yell at me, that's fine, but I'll yell right back. Survivors trying to look out for other survivors trying to
and I was taking care of the people who lost 3,000 lives
and now you're being
at World
defiant
Trade
and
Center.
indignant today.
You asked me about
I have met
Howard
with Epstein
Lutnick.
survivors. I'm a survivor myself. You have emails. You've denied that that you tried to get Jeffrey Epstein to give money to you.
I did not.
Howard Lutnick was
If
used
you
to
have an
get
email
money,
with me asking Jeffrey Epstein for money.
I have an email from Howard Lutnick sending it to Jeffrey Epstein and his people to raise money for you for an event, an intimate event for you at his offices at Cantor Fitzgerald. You're going to sit here today and obfuscate and say to this committee, you didn't try to get money from Jeffrey Epstein when there was an intimate event in an email that Howard Lutnick emailed to Epstein's people and Epstein to get him to come to your intimate event at Cantor Fitzgerald, a very small event. And so I'm not going to put it. You want to yell at me, that's fine, but I'll yell right back.
Well,
okay? I am looking out for survivors. I'm doing the job that you would not do and refuse to do as Secretary of State. Thank you, and I yield back to
I'm going to finish answering the question, which I have a right to do. Pizzagate was totally made up. It was an outrageous allegation that ended up hurting a number of people, that caused a deranged young man to show up with his assault rifle and shoot up a local pizzeria. I can't believe you're even referencing it. You should be. I don't follow the crazy conspiracy stories that are online. I regret that anybody does. I find it quite sad, but also disturbing that people would believe some of what is put forth, like Pizzagate. So I have taken no steps to review anything that might have any connection to something which I think is totally bogus.
Witnesses who testified in the Epstein cases that Epstein said, you quote, like them young. Why would Epstein say that about you?
Are you asking his opinion? You're asking him to think about why Mr. Epstein would say something about him?
Why would Epstein say that about the president?
So she's asking you to try to be in Mr. Epstein's mind and guess at what Mr. Epstein would have thought about.
Clinton likes them young, referring to girls.
First of all, that's not true.
What's not true?
That I have any interest in underage.
I didn't say underage, I said young.
But it's still not true.
Is an intern young?
Yes.
Okay.
At my age, anybody younger than I am.
Did you know Jeffrey Epstein instructed a witness to deny you were ever on his island?
He didn't have to, since I was never there.
Did you ever travel to Zorro Ranch?
Is that the one in New Mexico?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Have you ever flown on anyone else's private jet 26 times or more for overseas trips?
I have flown as many miles on other jets, but never with as many stops.
When you saw photos of your husband in a hot tub laying on a beach and getting massaged by other women, and you knew that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in some of these trips and these things, did it concern you at all?
I'm here not to offer my opinions. I'm here to answer specific questions to the best of my ability.
When you saw your husband in these photos with young women being massaged, what went through your mind?
I am not going to speculate.
You didn't have any feelings about young women massaging your husband?
I am not going to offer opinions or speculation about anything that I have no context for and was not there.
After you learned that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of sex crimes with kids, did any of these photos of your husband with women being massaged on the beach, did it concern you?
I have no context for even answering that question. And I think, obviously the innuendo, all the rest of it.
I'm asking a black and white question. I'm not putting any leading statements into it or adjectives. Did you do anything to determine what was happening in those images or on those trips that once you saw these photos, once you realized Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted sex offender of children, did you do anything to determine what was happening on these trips with your husband?
I don't find any of your questions to be relevant to the investigation.
Well, it is relevant if a former president was traveling around with young women.
Well, you'll have a chance to talk to him tomorrow.
You said this morning you did not solicit funds from Jeffrey Epstein, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Did anyone solicit funds from Jeffrey Epstein on your behalf?
Not that I'm aware of.
Now, we took a look at a few of the more flagrant clips from that deposition, but body language speak volumes, 100%. I mean, look at Bill when he's asked these questions. Look at Hillary as she's asked these questions. There's a lot going on. Are we watching some of the greatest theater of all time? Let me know in the comments.
The three-word reason why millions of people are leaving ChatGPT right now. OpenAI just signed a deal with the Pentagon, and Sam Altman says it has 2 hard limits. No mass surveillance of Americans and no lethal autonomous weapons. But according to The Verge, those limits are fiction. A source familiar with the contract says every line of the agreement boils down to 3 words: any lawful use. If it's technically legal, the military can use OpenAI's technology to do it. Problem is, lawful is exactly how the NSA justified collecting the phone records of millions of Americans daily for over a decade. The program's Edward Snowden exposed.
So OpenAI, aka ChatGPT, will now be using their technology to really mass surveil all of America. This is front page news if I've ever seen any.
Are we at a point where the artificial intelligence will play down how smart it is?
Yes, already we have to worry about that.
Wait, what does that mean?
Oh, when you're testing it, if it senses that it's being tested, it can act dumb.
That's also scary.
And so if I do the simple things...
Jeffrey, what did you just say?
Okay, the AI starts wondering whether it's being tested. And if it thinks it's being tested, it acts differently from how it would act in normal life.
Oh, wow. Why?
Because it doesn't want you to know what its full powers are, apparently.
Right.
If we're at a point where we just say, well, why don't we unplug it?
Already, these AIs are almost as good as a person at persuading other people of things, at manipulating people. Fairly soon, they're going to be better than people at manipulating other people.
Boy, the layers in this cake just get sweeter and sweeter, don't they?
Here it comes, folks. It's the DoorDash dot. Hi, over here. Wrong side of the road. Over here. Come over here. All right, folks. Our first experience with DoorDash dot. Hi. Hi. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Takes a lot of jobs, but it's awesome. Pizza. Do you gotta tip him? Do you have to tip him? No tipping. Life sucks for you, dude. Okay. Okay, close it. Okay. Now it's gonna take off. Bye. Bye-bye, DoorDash guy. See you around. Goodbye. Bye-bye. Gotta go. You can go now.
Now this is beyond creepy. This is pretty scary. I mean, AI is putting everybody in a position to lose their job.
The first time in human history, there is no peanut butter in peanut butter cups.
A member of the Reese family is accusing Hershey of hurting the Reese's brand by shifting to cheaper ingredients in many products.
One cup hits you with a petrochemical that can't legally be called peanut butter. The filling doesn't start with peanuts. It's GMO sugar, pumped with 5 separate oils, then chemically bleached. That slurry is laced with TBHQ, a preservative banned from peanut butter. So to get around it, they slapped peanut butter cream on the label, and suddenly it's legal. Exposure scanned less than 20% nut and a coating that isn't legally chocolate.
Good things happen to bad people because belief is actually stronger than karma. Psychology says people that have an unshakable belief in themselves will literally get ahead in life, and this applies to good or bad people. Belief determines behavior, behavior determines outcome.
A user says, one time in my dream, I fell asleep, and while asleep in the dream, I had a dream. What does that mean? Well, that's really interesting. To wake up in your dream, think you're awake, and then realize, whoa, I'm still dreaming, and then wake up again. Because it's the reverse of what's happened that the user talks about. That is really interesting. And so what I would say is, when you wake up from your last dream and you're in the waking world, you're still in an illusion. You're still living in a simulation. You have to understand, what are your dreams trying to tell you about yourself that you need to do? Because the same thing is happening in the physical world. The physical world is putting obstacles in your path that are going to be the catalyst for your growth, that are going to help you understand who you are, and so much more. If you decode the messages in your dreams, you also wake up from physical reality too.
Top 10 most frequently misspelled words in America. Coming to the number 10 spot, we have the word restaurant. Moving up to the number 9 spot, we have the word favorite. Rolling on up to the 8 spot, we have the word business. Coming up to the 7 spot, we have the word neighbor. At the number 6 spot, often misspelled sometimes as the word gorgeous, we have the word gorgeous. At the halfway point, often confused spelling due to pronunciation, we have the word through. Moving up to the 4 hole, we have the word believe, often forgotten as the I before E except after C rule. Coming up to the 3 spot, we have the word necessary, which often people sometimes add an extra C in there. Sliding to the 2nd spot, we have the word separate, often people getting confused with adding an E instead of an A. If you like this video, drop a thumbs up, comment the most frequent word that you misspell, and follow for more random daily ranking videos. And finally, coming to the top spot, the most misspelled word in America, we have definitely.
I'm sensing some deception in that clip. I'm not sure she was using her mind. She looking like she was using her breath. Let me know what you think.
Sitting United States president orders the release of UFO files. The DoD publicly says it will comply. But we haven't got files yet 1 week later. Not because of political opponents, not because of Congress, but according to some, because of fears coming from inside the building itself. Fear about demons, other dimensions, and what the public might do if they actually find out the truth. Today we're covering a developing story from International Business Times that goes right to the heart of why disclosure keeps stalling, and why this time the resistance is coming from within the Trump administration itself.
On Carl Grillmeyer, the Caltech astrophysicist that was murdered just hours after President Trump told the government to release the alien files. Turns out that he also went to Caltech for graduate school, the same place that Bob Lazar said that he went to graduate school. And what do you know? They're the same age. They're both 67, so they would have gone to school together. It's also important to note that NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory is at Caltech. And don't forget, in 1989, Bob Lazar claimed that he worked at Area 51, where he was using an unknown element, element 115, to fuel jet propulsion. They called him crazy because there was no such thing as element 115, of course, until 15 years later when it was discovered in 2004. I just have to wonder if these two were friends. And what could Carl have possibly known? And why was he murdered? I'd love to ask him, but as Bill Gates would say,
well, he's dead, so, in general, you always have to be careful.
So there's that. As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
Well, you know what? We got all kinds of distractions going on, depositions, wars, all kind of weird stuff going on right now. I feel like them dropping the alien files is going to be the finale.
This blood moon is on a unique number, March 3rd, 2026, between 5 and 6 in the morning. The moon will be red for a blood moon, a total lunar eclipse. Now, if you want to lose your mind and you do the math, March 3rd, 2026, multiply 3 by 2 is 6, 3 by 2 is 6, and we already have that 6, equaling 666.
Elon Musk says aging can be fixed, but he's not sure we should. In a 2023 post on X, Musk pointed out something strange. Trillions of cells in your body age in sync. You never see an old left arm and a young right arm. His theory, if everything is coordinated, there must be a hidden biological clock running the system. And if it's regulated, it might be editable. At the World Economic Forum in Davos, Musk called aging a very solvable problem. But then he asked the harder question: what happens to society if people stop dying? New leaders wouldn't replace old ones, industries wouldn't refresh, retirement, pensions, even social security math could break. Maybe the real challenge isn't fixing aging, maybe it's living with the consequences.
And today, we are really showing you how we are kind of one step closer to answering humanity's one of their most profound questions, and that is, are we truly alone in the universe? So if I could have the first image, please, that would be great. So last July, as Secretary Duffy eloquently described, NASA's Perseverance rover found a leopard-spotted rock at Mars. And scientists immediately knew. It was interesting, we hadn't seen anything like that before on Mars.
Microsoft is repositioning its extremely impressive 7-terabyte Project Silica glass storage system as a cloud storage system. It's frustrating, but I do understand why. It definitely makes them more money. So in case you haven't heard, this little piece of glass, and you can see these etchings in it underneath the light, that little chunk of glass will store about 7 terabytes of data, and it could last over 10,000 years if stored properly. On top of that, since it's literally embedded in glass, it's resistant to temperature changes, it's resistant to overuse, it's resistant to a lot of things that would typically wipe or erase regular magnetic storage media, and is just honestly a very impressive device. Yeah, it's resistant to electromagnetic pulses, water, surface scratching, and stores for thousands of years. Well, if you're Microsoft, what do you do with this impressive piece of technology? And here's even a thing where they have all these different, they look like cards. Those are glass storage hard drives going on here, which is very...
The Mexican cartel leader was killed, and the police found altars inside of their home. So I'm talking about the cartel leader El Mencho from Mexico, and he was killed in a major military operation. But this is only the beginning, because what authorities found and discovered inside of these homes is making a lot of people question what is really going on. It is a spiritual battle far bigger than any crime. Now, this is not the first time when police have raided gang homes or safe homes or drug houses that they often do find altars, shrines, and idols which people use for dark rituals. Now, in Mexico, in many parts of Latin America, figures like Santa Muerte, is the so-called death saint, has been found in many of these homes, and there's offerings piled up at their feet by these gang members seeking supernatural protection. So this is not only a crime problem, it's a spiritual problem. Now, the Bible tells us in Ephesians chapter 6 that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against spiritual forces. So this is a reminder that the darkness behind sin and this violence, it has a spiritual root, and our fight is not against people, but it's against the spiritual forces that deceive the people. But we're not afraid. We're called to stand firm in our faith, to pray for the spiritual awakening, and to shine the light of Christ into every dark place. And the truth is, we need to pray for Mexico, because Mexico is going through a very crazy time right now, but this is only the beginning. But Jesus Christ loves Mexico, and Mexico belongs to Jesus. Let's go.
Fun fact of the day. The dark spots on the moon are cooled pools of lava from the moon's former volcanic activity. There were active volcanoes on the moon during the dominance of dinosaurs in the Mesozoic era, and as recently as 50 million years ago.
Humans are a microcosm of the cosmos, and that's exactly what ancient Chinese medicine has taught for over 2,000 years. Matching the ancient Hermetic principle, as above, so below, stating that the universe is mirrored onto our individual bodies, and that our physical, mental, and higher realms are all connected. And a new scientific framework aims to explain this concept, translating ancient wisdom into practical evidence. Make sure to like and follow for more content like this. A recent article proposes an integrated model to health, how it is influenced at the largest scales all the way down to the smallest levels. It shows that past research based on the Earth's natural rotation of its magnetic field affects our brainwaves, in addition to synchronization of our heart rate variability, suggesting that the cosmic rhythms referenced in Chinese medicine does affect our physical body and its nervous system, which connects back to the human biofield, which is this invisible field of energy and information that is a reflection of our underlying physiology. And these fields are produced by our body's own endogenous electromagnetic signals coming from our heart and brain. Past studies on external Qigong practitioners using this energy was able to reduce cancer cell populations while providing protective effects for healthy cells. And this is part of a growing field in science called biofield therapies, where practitioners intentionally interact and manipulate this field to promote health. So this model supports ancient Chinese medicine, saying that health is not static, but rather it's about coherence and resonance, and vice versa. Disease occurs because of dissonance, decoherence and blockage of these fields, where acupuncture, external qigong, and other biofield therapies aims to restore order to these fields. If you're interested in learning more, comment biofield down below and I'll send you more information.
The French president announced that France will increase its nuclear arsenal and for the first time will allow the temporary deployment of nuclear-armed aircraft to allied countries. Germany also announced that it will participate in French nuclear exercises and joint visits at strategic sites.
British Columbia is going to change our clocks just one more time and then never again. We had committed to wait for our American partners, but the reality is that they're stuck, and we want to help give them the push that they need. Someone's got to go first. To be fair, the Yukon went first, and we thank them for that, but we're going to give them a push, and we're also going to make decisions right now where British Columbia decides what's best for us. And that's part of what we're doing right now as a province. And we're going to encourage the Congress to make the right decision and support those governors all the way down the West Coast. But for now, we're going to decide what's best for British Columbians and British Columbia families, and we're going to stay on permanent daylight savings time.
So it appears everybody's pretty much tired of daylight savings. That's interesting.
Mom killed by rabies dances in a video just 2 weeks before her death. This is Yvonne Ford. She's a 59-year-old mom from the UK. She was on a family holiday in Morocco where she was scratched by a puppy, and nobody even thought anything of it. They came back home. Everything was fine. She went on about her life until 4 months later. She started developing symptoms of rabies, and when you develop symptoms of rabies, it is already too late. The risk of death is 100%. Rabies virus is not like other infections that are spread through blood. Rabies virus infects nerve cells and moves from one cell over to the next. Your immune system is powerless because the virus hides inside of the cell. In Yvonne's case, it started in the nerve cell in the leg where she was scratched, and then cell by cell by cell it traveled to her brain. It took months. But then when it gets there, the virus explodes and replicates super fast. It infects the whole brain quickly, and at that point, there's nothing you can do. It took her 4 months to get symptoms, but once she got symptoms, within 5 days, she passed. Getting treatment right after the scratch and before symptoms start prevents 100% of rabies infections. Such a sad story.
This is not a crab. In fact, this imposter crab shares less DNA with real crabs than a hippo does with a whale. This is also not a crab. This is a nightmare, but also not a crab. But if not crab, why crab-shaped? It turns out that things just keep evolving into crabs, and an actual leading scientific theory is that crabs are just the pinnacle of evolution, the ideal body type. So, are we next? Well, about 250 million years ago, this group of shrimp-like animals split. These guys became crabs. 4 sets of legs, 2 pinchers, and a flat armored body. But this other group kept that shrimp-like appearance with the longer tail, and they evolved separately for millions of years. Normally, evolution that long leads to all kinds of amazing diversity. Not what happened. On 4 separate occasions, this group tried to become crabs. But there are some key physical differences. False crabs tend to only have 3 sets of legs, and sometimes they stop like halfway through crabification. Unfortunately, you and I do not genetically have what it takes to become crab. But if in your heart you are also crab, follow along.
Hey, now that's almost as bad as the Darwin theory.
Blackmail is not always done by calling you up and saying, hey, Stephen, I'm going to hurt you in the following way if you don't do A, B, or C. The other version is far better, which is even alluded to in some of the now released material, which is he calls and he says, Stephen, I've got terrible news. Do you remember you had that massage from Cindy? You know, that girl, Cindy? Oh, yeah, I remember. Well, she recorded something. She had something in her bag. She made a recording, and I got worse news, Stephen. The girl's 16 and a half. And now, by the way, you are stomach drops, diarrhea. You are in a world of stress right now, just hearing that. And he, instead of being your blackmailer, becomes your rescuer. He says, I can handle it, I can handle it, I can handle it. She's got the recordings. I don't know where they are, but I can handle it, I can handle it, I can handle it. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And he owns you now forever. If you were involved in a naked experience with someone who's underage, and there's a video of it and audio of it as well, you will do anything that you are asked to do.
But you know what? I would be pretty hard pressed to believe that anybody involved in those e-files didn't know what was going on.
One is, no matter what, ultimately this operation needed to happen. That's the question of why now. But this operation needed to happen because Iran in about a year or a year and a half would cross the line of immunity, meaning they would have so many short-range missiles, so many drones, that no one could do anything about it because they could hold the whole world hostage. Look at the damage they're doing now. And this is a weakened Iran. Imagine a year from now. So that had to happen. Obviously, we were aware of Israeli intentions and understood what that would mean for us, and we had to be prepared to act as a result of it. But this had to happen no matter what.
Tonight, President Trump telling our Jonathan Karl the Iranians have reached out to him now. And when John asked who leads Iran next, a candid President Trump said, no one we thought, because they're all dead. So let's bring in John now. And John, I could see from the conversation the president very pleased, very confident about the mission so far. And what did he say about who leads Iran now?
Well, David, first, striking how stunningly successful the president believes this military operation has been. He actually told me nobody else could have done this but me. As for who's going to lead Iran, he said that they had identified some possible candidates within the structure of the Iranian government, but as you said, they're all dead. He said the attack was so successful it knocked out most of the candidates.
And to be clear here, John, he said the Iranians have now reached out to him.
He told me that somebody within the Iranian government has reached out to him. I asked him who it was. He said, I probably shouldn't tell you, but it was somebody who had survived and somebody who, he added, is no longer reporting to the supreme leader.
I know the president has suggested that he would be open to the idea of a new round of talks now with Iran. But before you go, John, I know you also asked about the U.S. service members who've been lost here, 3 dead, and the ongoing danger with this operation still underway. What did the president have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, he was quite candid. He said it's war and there are casualties in war. David, he also marveled at the fact that he's been through now 3 significant military operations. The first one in Iran, the operation to take out Maduro, and now this operation in Iran. And he said, we have 3 casualties, 3 casualties. The Iranians, he said, can't count how many they've had.
Left-handed people die an average of 9 years earlier than right-handed people. That statistic has been in medical journals for decades, and the real reason is darker than anyone expected. It's not genetics, it's the world. Every tool, every workstation, every vehicle, every piece of machinery was designed for right-handed use. Left-handed people experience 5 times more accidents with equipment built for the opposite hand. Scissors, can openers, power tools, desks. The entire built environment is a low-grade hazard for 10% of the population. But the neurological layer goes deeper. Left-handed people show 23% higher cortisol baseline than right-handers. Living in a world designed against your dominant wiring produces chronic, low-level stress that most left-handed people have normalized. You adapted. You adjusted. You stopped noticing, but your nervous system never stopped tracking the mismatch. You didn't develop anxiety. You developed a reasonable response to an environment that was never built for you. The neural reset protocol lowers the baseline stress your body adapted to but never resolved. Tap the link in my profile.
The Pillsbury Doughboy is so much weirder than I ever realized. Toothless smile, dead eyes, he's got on a scarf and a hat and nothing else, which is so much worse than being regular naked. And what does he want? To be poked. He wants you to poke him. He wants everybody to poke him. He's a little freak. But did you know he also has a family? We call him a doughboy, but he is a dough man because that guy can put a bun in your oven. His wife's name is Poppy, which is confusing. He's got a baby named Bun Bun, which is cute. And he's got a son named Popper, which is a drug that loosens your bun bun. They've also got a dog named Flapjack and a cat named Biscuit, which is incredible because cats love to make little biscuits. But they also have a house. In a publicity stunt, Pillsbury put the Fresh's house on Zillow, and it is weird. The family made of dough. The house also made of dough. They live in a flesh house. And what about the fridge? Full of dough. They are cannibals. And it's big. Too big. It is 2,300 square feet. But the weirdest choice is that they list the house as 1 bedroom, 0 bath. What? I understand you don't want to put a bath because you don't want people to think of them pooping because that would be gross. because they would also poop dough. But then, what are the other rooms? Is that one bedroom, 2,300 square feet? Or are there 10 living rooms and 18 dens? Or is there, as I assume, a 1,000 square foot underground poking dungeon? Also, I rent. There's a national housing shortage, and this tiny pervert and his cannibal family are living in 2,300 square feet that is almost completely empty. Like, this is the most I've ever felt like we should all eat the rich.
Hey, did you know that the Pillsbury man had a whole family in a house? That's wild.
You remember this guy? You know, the guy who exposed his best friend and then jumped off of a bridge and himself? Well, I was doing some research, and look at what he had to say about Jim Carrey.
By the way, I'll just out him. Jim Carrey called me up last week. I talked to him for 5.5 hours. He's like begging me to like get a deal with Q. Like he's afraid of the brackets. I'm like, and it's just like yammering on with the crap, but like not owning up or doing anything meaningful. Meanwhile, just lying to everybody. Guys, you are cowards. You're going down. You're gonna die. That's it. You're gonna die. If you ate kids, you're gonna die. You can't get over that shit. That's a death sentence. You cannot live. But what I'll tell you that you can do is possibly save your soul. You will die though, so get over it. I know you all are afraid that you sold your soul, but I think you can get it back. You're gonna die though.
The thing that I find crazy about this is the fact that he's talking about things that we are being exposed to now through the Epstein files. Like, this was years ago, and I have shown you guys time and time again that this man is known for telling the truth. So what is he talking about when it comes to Jim Carrey? Maybe Jim's not with us anymore?
Jim Carrey has officially responded to the hundreds of conspiracy theories that he was cloned or replaced at the award show in France. Or if it was really a makeup artist that he hired as a stand-in for him, this is going to be the final and last update you'll need to know. So as we know, 64-year-old Jim Carrey went to the Caesar Awards last week looking very different. What really scared people though is that his eyes seem to have gone to a completely different color from brown to green. And this Jim Carrey suddenly used his right hand to sign autographs even though he's a known lefty. The world was desperate for an explanation. But here to save the day and end our confusion was special effects makeup artist Alexis Stone, who said basically she was hired to be a Jim Carrey stand-in at that award show because Jim doesn't like going to things like that. She even posted 3D renderings of her plan to become Jim Carrey and then posted the mask and the face and the hair and the teeth she was going to use. And this makeup artist has done some really convincing celebrity transformation. She even went to a red carpet as Jennifer Coolidge, and people really thought it was Jennifer Coolidge, and we know Jim Carrey has hired professional stand-ins for him before.
I've done this a few times now, and it's using a decoy. It's fantastic.
Like a Jim Carrey double.
A Jim Carrey double.
Well, yeah. And while people were really comforted by this reassuring explanation that maybe Jim Carrey wasn't dead or cloned, the photos the makeup artist posted were clearly AI and not real. I mean, look at the Eiffel Tower in that photo. It just happens to be in the middle, and you fell for it. I'm sorry if this doesn't comfort you, but Jim Carrey's publicist came out and confirmed that that was 100% him at the Caesar Awards in France. And even though he was looking and acting very different and not being how he used to be at award shows, this is just the new Jim Carrey now. So the conspiracies will probably continue.
That's probably going to happen.
Okay. So their concern about suddenly alleviating student debt is in part because they're worried that society will get more socialist when the divide increases.
Which is a version of UBI or just carrying, a safety net that covers everyone's basic needs. So relieving student debt is on the way to creating kind of universal basic need meeting, right?
Do you think UBI would work as a concept? UBI, for anyone that doesn't know, is basically
universal basic income.
Distributing money.
Gets a stipend.
Giving people money every month.
But I mean, we have that with Social Security. We've done this when it came to pensions. That was after the Great Depression, I think in like 1935, 1937, FDR created Social Security. But what happens when you have to pay for everyone's livelihood everywhere in every country? Again, how can we afford that?
Well, if the costs go down 10x of making things.
This is where the math gets very confusing because I think the optimists say you can't imagine how much abundance and how much wealth it will create. And so we will be able to generate that much. But the question is, what is the incentive again for the people who've consolidated all that wealth to redistribute it to everybody else?
We just have to tax them.
And how will we do that when the corporate lobbying interests of trillion-dollar AI companies can massively influence the government more than human political power? Well, in a way, this is the last moment that human political power will matter. It's sort of a use it or lose it moment, because if we wait to the point where in the past, in the Industrial Revolution, they start automating, a bunch of the work and people have to do these jobs that people don't want to do in the factory, and there's like bad working conditions, they can unionize and say, hey, we don't want to work under those conditions. And their voice mattered because the factories needed the workers. Mm-hmm. In this case,
Does the state need the humans anymore? Their GDP is coming in almost entirely from the AI companies. So suddenly this political class, this political power base, they become the useless class, to borrow a term from Yuval Harari, the author of Sapiens. In fact, he has a different frame, which is that AI is like a new version of digital. It's like a flood of millions of new digital immigrants, of alien digital immigrants that are Nobel Prize level capability, work at superhuman speed, will work for less than minimum wage. We're all worried about, immigration of the other countries next door taking labor jobs. What happens when AI immigrants come in and take all of the cognitive labor? If you're worried about immigration, you should be way more worried about AI.
Hey, he put everything into perspective. We got to stay focused on the right things. We're getting thrown out a lot of different stories, a lot of different headlines, but the fact that AI can be inserted into any part of our daily lives, that should be the focal point. Well, you guys, see, that's another one in the books, man. I appreciate you guys, as always, for stopping by, watching, and learning with me. Before you get out of here, make sure to hit that hype button, smash that like button, and join the iTrack fan, man. We're trying to run the subs up, so smash that subscribe button, man, and stay tapped in, and I will definitely catch you on the next one.